لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه الطاهرين ما دام ما في السماوات والأرضين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم إنا نسألك علما ينفعنا ويرفعنا. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا ورزقا واسعا وعملا متقبلا وشفاء من كل داء وبعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, all thanks and praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has once again afforded us the opportunity to come together in a house of the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the express purpose of reading the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and studying the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It reminds us of an oft quoted narration: ما اجتمع قوم في بيت من بيوت الله يتلون كتاب الله ويتدارسونه فيما بينهم إلا نزلت عليهم السكينة وغشيتهم الرحمة وحفتهم الملائكة. No people gather in a house of the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reading the book of Allah. Rather, not only reading but studying the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as you and I seek to do, except that angels surround them, tranquility descends upon them, and they are enshrouded with the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah to grant us a fair share of that particular mercy. Now, uniquely about Quran, just generally, I think it's important for us to keep in mind that Quran primarily serves two purposes. The first purpose is to inform us about the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and number two, to guide us. The book of Quran is primarily a book of guidance. The book of Quran is primarily a book of guidance. Yes, it does contain certain scientific realities which are undoubtable, but the primary purpose, in terms of the purpose of the Quran, is to guide us. Now, if we look at this particular guidance, it should guide us, as Quran says, Inna hadha al-Quran yahdi lillati hiya aqwam. This Quran guides to that which is most upright. So the word, when Allah talks about Quran, Allah talks about two things. It being upright, qayyiman, causes you to become upright. That's what Allah says. But before Allah gives you that quality in Surah Al-Kahf, Allah says, Alhamdulillahi alladhi anzala ala abdi al-kitaba wa lam yaj'al lahu iwaja qayyiman. Allah hasn't made the Quran crooked. Rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it straight, in other words, upright. So, al-ashya'u tu'rafu bi-aqdadiha, things are known by its opposites. So the Quran is not crooked, then what is it? It is upright, it is straight, in other words, and causes you to become straight. Not only causes you to become straight, but aqwam, that which is most upright, which is quite unique. When we look for solutions in terms of our life, you're going to find solutions. Particularly, what comes to mind is you're going to find, you have an inner psychologist, you go to the psychologist, you're going to find a solution. And I'm sort of like indifferent to the solutions that you're going to find by the psychologist. Indifferent really. It may be beneficial, may not be beneficial. But what I'm impressing upon you is that when we look for solutions to any problem, psychological or any other in our lives, let it not be that we look everywhere else for that which will make us upright, but we don't look at Quran. Quran must be part of that equation. That's what Quran guides us to. So alhamdulillah, we are afforded this opportunity to come here every week to study Quran, so that Quran can be that force within our lives that keeps us upright. May Allah make that a reality for us, inshallah, bi'idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just generally in terms of Quran, I thought that is a good introduction. In terms of the verse, قَالَتِ الْأَعْرَابُ آمَنَّا. Last week we had discussed the verse and we discussed a few points about it. But we missed out a very important thing, a very important aspect of the verse. And that is the sababun nuzul, the cause of revelation. Because look, the wording in terms of the verses, I don't know about you, but it's very hard. Lam tu'minu. There's a claim to believe, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Lam tu'minu, you haven't believed. So it's quite, it's very critical. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very hard if you look at it from a certain perspective. And Allah tells him, don't say that we have Iman, because you don't have Iman yet you have Islam. You follow me? And it's difficult for me to explain also. But the difficulty comes about when you lose sight of the context. When you lose sight of the context, you know. For example, if you, out of the blue, you just see the tail end, maybe the parent is sharing some harsh words with the child, you know, that you shouldn't be doing this, and, you know, I just about had enough, and whatever the case may be. Let's say it's constructive. Then you get a certain impression, not understanding the context. Maybe the parent had spoken to the child once, twice, thrice, and, you know, but now he or she's come to the teethers in, and you're witnessing that, and this is a bad parent, because you don't understand the context. So it's important for us when we look at certain verses to understand the context. So let's just spend a few minutes in terms of the context, inshallah, of this particular verse. The context of this verse, clearly it starts from قالت الأعراب. قالت الأعراب. So قالت, said, who said? Al-A'rab. The word A'rab, as we explained last week, it's a ismul jama. The word A'rab means Bedouins, right? Now there's no singular form for this particular word. They use the same word and they just add a ya at the end and call A'rabiyun. That becomes the singular form of this verb. So A'rab plural, singular is the same word, you just add a ya at the end, it becomes A'rabiyu. Okay? What do they say? Qalat al-A'rab. So the whole issue is about A'rab. A'rab. A'rab refers to Bedouins. You know, you have city dwellers and you have Bedouins. Now what happened at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, you know, just very briefly the history, he stayed, how long was it? He stayed 13 years in Mecca, and then he stayed 10 years in Medina. In the 9th year of Hijrah, so in other words, 9 years after he had immigrated to Medina, 1 year before his demise. What are we talking about now? In which time frame are we in? Allah talks about إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا. People are accepting Islam. We're talking particularly about the Arabian tribes. They are accepting Islam. And how are they coming? Afwaja. The word afwaj is the plural of the word fawj. Fawj means they're coming in hordes. They're coming, you know, in tribes. Tribes are coming to Medina, and the tribes are accepting Islam. You follow me? Therefore, the 9th year of Hijrah is referred to as Sanatul Wufud. Sana means year. Wufud is the plural of the word wafd. Wafd refers, wafada yafidu means to come. But if an important, in the Arabic language, ja'a means to come, ata means to come, wafada also means to come. But you don't say ja'a al-ra'is. You could say, but you say wafada al-ra'is. You know, he came, but the word wafada signifies, you know, an important coming. So wufud refers to, you know, these tribes coming, wafd. So this year, the 9th year after Hijrah, is called Sanatul Wufud, the year of the delegations coming. And all of these delegations that are coming, they're coming to accept Islam. Okay? And so just as a matter of interest for us, we have the timeline now in terms of the surah. It's happening in the 9th year after Hijrah. Then, you know, in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, and I think it's important for us to, with all the expansions in Medina, to be acutely aware of the dynamics of the masjid at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So you had you know how it goes now? So what did you have? Maybe for those of us who haven't heard before, and I think we've got a double period today. There's been some change in the program now. So we have some time, inshallah. So what happened was, so what you have is, you're very familiar with Medina, no? So this is let's put it this way, okay? It's Masjid al-Nabawi. So basically what you have is, I'll get a sense of direction now. So you know you have here, they call this Bab Jibreel. So this is the Jibreel, like a Jibreel gate, which Jibreel would come from there. And you know this gate over here is called Babul Baqi, because if you come out there, you look straight into Baqi. Okay? Then now this area here, this wasn't part of the masjid at the time. This is an extension. So this was the house of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And it made up a number of rooms. And the rooms basically were his wives' rooms. And there were little alleys between the rooms. It's very small. And then basically the mimbar of the Prophet ﷺ is over here. So what did he say? Ma bayna bayti wa mimbari rawdatun min riyadil jinan. So this area here becomes the Rawda. You with me? This area becomes the Rawda. Everybody okay with that? So now what happens is, here was a door coming out over here, and you have different pillars in the masjid, right? You have different pillars. There's about plus minus 9 pillars in the masjid. So you look at them, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So some of the pillars are no longer like outside, some of the pillars are inside. Okay, so now what happened was, there's quite a few like famous pillars. I want to look at this pillar over here, that last pillar at the back over there. That pillar there is called, a pillar in Arabic is called ustuwana. I don't know if you heard that word before. Ustuwana. Ustuwana basically means a pillar. If you're in the Rawda and you look up, you see there's a ring around the pillars, and you see there's like a name on the pillar. So you get different names: Ustuwana Abi Umama, Ustuwana Aisha, Ustuwana Ali. Now this pillar at the back there is called Ustuwanatul Wufud. Does it ring a bell now? Wufud. Wufud is from Wafada. Wafada means to come. So now in the 9th year, when the different delegations would come to the Prophet ﷺ, where did he meet them? He met them in the masjid. And he used to meet them sort of at the back of the masjid. This was the back of the masjid at the time. So then they erected a pillar there, which is called Ustuwanatul Wufud, the pillar where the Prophet ﷺ would sit and meet the delegations. Tamam? So now you have a timeline in terms of the 9th year, and also you sort of have like a geographical placement in terms of in the masjid. The pillar almost right at the back, which is called Ustuwanatul Wufud, that is where the Prophet ﷺ used to meet these delegations. Okay? Everybody fine with that? Now we're still wanting to discuss the context, because as we said at the beginning, Lam tu'minu, you did not believe, right? So what happened was, there was quite a few in the 9th year, like we said, quite a few delegations who came forth. One of them was so Ustuwana means pillar of the delegations. Okay? And then of these delegations, one of them was referred to as Banu Asad. Banu Asad. I think it's sort of like easy to remember, because Asad means lion. So Banu Asad, the tribe of lions basically. So the Banu Asad, they came. They came to the Prophet ﷺ. But how they came was, now remember in the 9th year, in terms of historically what had happened now before, the Prophet ﷺ has gained control over the entire Arabian Peninsula. Right? Now, you could refer to the Arabian Peninsula as an Islamic state. And an Islamic state obviously comes with revenue. The revenue of the Islamic state at the time would be referred to as what? Sadaqat. You know, there's probably a few terms you can use. Booty and whatever else. It basically comes part of the treasury of the Baytul Mal. So they accept Islam fairly late. And they come to the Prophet ﷺ, and this is their approach. Their approach is that, O Prophet of Allah, we're coming to you, but not as all the other delegations came to you. You know, they actually, if you look at the Hawazin and the other tribes, they fought with you, and then you overpowered them, right? But we have come in peace. That's what they're saying. They've come in peace. But the intent behind that is that we have come in peace, but they're intimating that they've come, and two things. You know, like we're doing you a favor. We're not resisting, we're doing you a favor. So then further on we'll come, and Allah SWT will clearly say that, look, by you accepting Islam, you're not doing anybody any favor. If you're doing anybody a favor, you're doing yourself a favor. You follow me? Number one. Number two is, they intimate in terms of the way they're addressing the Prophet ﷺ, that they are deserving of they are deserving recipients of the booty and whatever revenue the Prophet ﷺ has, and they seek to gain therefrom. You follow me? So now, in light of that particular context, you can understand now when Allah SWT is saying to them that you're not doing anybody a favor, you're doing yourself a favor. Then also you've accepted Islam. Islam is the first level, but Islam, as we explained last week, is based on the hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam. Is basically, what is Islam relating to? It relates to four things. It relates to, number one, your tongue. So what do you bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship but Allah. and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his messenger. That's amalul lisan. All of us can do that. And then you establish salah, you give zakah, and then you sawm, and then you perform hajj if you have the ability. 5 things. But iman is something else. Iman is that belief sits firmly in your heart. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, already they very, I don't know if this is the right word, but they say chachi. Have you heard the word before? They're full of themselves and coming you will understand, but in the initial stages, they're very full of themselves in terms of, look here, we're doing you a favor as opposed to you doing us a favor. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sits that record straight here. So now we can understand and you can appreciate the tone and how critical Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually being on them, because they're laying claim to something which they haven't actually realized. The important thing for me was, without a context, it becomes very problematic. And I want to say that, my experience I didn't consult this tafsir. I consulted another tafsir. My experience, last week, we went through the verse and so, but internally I felt that, it is because you avoided the context. And context is fundamental when interpreting Quran and when explaining Quran. If the context is, that's why of the sciences that is necessary for you to know when giving an exegesis of the Quran is the context. Because once you take something out of context, and then here for us is very innocent, but in a sense that we don't truly appreciate the context, and we might find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the tone is very harsh. But if you understand the context and how the tone is justified, and even the criticism is justified. But in other instances, it can be quite damning if you don't know the context, because you can misinterpret everything. So understanding context in terms of ayat are very, very important. Wallahu a'lam. So yeah, there we go. And then inshallah we'll now read through the verse again, inshallah, and take it easy. And we'll see how far we get, inshallah. But if you can engage and understand, it will be nice and sort of give me an indication in terms of whether you're understanding exactly, or if you have questions, and you may have an objection even, please feel free to ask. The idea is to basically understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. So we start again from qalat. So qalat al-a'rab. This is something I wanted to venture into, but I don't actually know the answer. It's always confused me, and I haven't read it too much about it. Qalat is a feminine form. Qala, qalu, and then qalat. So then al-a'rab, I do understand that it's a plural. And what type of plural is it? It's a broken plural, as opposed to, what do you call the other one? Sound. So it's not a sound plural. So generally when you have a broken plural, the broken plural, if it is inanimate, it can be treated as a single feminine. Like for example, ka'sun, ku'usun. Ka's means cup. Ku'us is cups. So I can say, hadi ku'usun. These are cups. You treat a broken plural like a single feminine, in terms of the language. But now the thing with a'rab is, it appears to me, wallahu alam, that a'rab is a broken plural, but not inanimate. A'rab refers to humans. But there is a rule that governs that. It's just that we must know the rule, because sometimes even in terms of, other animate things, in the broken plural, they use the single feminine. That's just for your interest, pick your interest, and then you can think about it a bit more. Many times my experience is I read Quran, but I'm not reading. I read, but I'm not reading. I don't know if you guys have that experience. You read but you're not reading, and sometimes somebody points out something to you and then you say, but how come I didn't see that? So we need to up our level in terms of reading Quran, and I think it comes with a bit of just a bit of concentration and also focus, and asking ourselves what is the meaning, of the verses. So qalat al-a'rabu, the Bedouin said, but now you know which Bedouins, who are they? The Banu Asad, right? The tribe of Asad. They're coming now in the 9th year, and the Prophet says, where is he meeting them? He's meeting them here by this pillar over here. So what do they say? Qalat al-a'rab. They make a claim. They make a claim, amanna. Amanna. Okay? So then the Prophet ﷺ is commanded to respond to them. Qul, say. So Qul is referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam and saying to him, Qul, you O Muhammad say to them, respond to them in the following manner. Qul lam tu'minu walakin qulu aslamna. Walakin qulu aslamna. Okay? Now here again there's a unique thing in terms of the tafsir. And maybe I'm going to try to explain to you just like without standing and writing it out, but look at the word. It says lam tu'minu. You have not lam tu'minu, you have not believed. Lam tu'minu. Okay? Walakin, but, and lakin is for istidrak, when you know, lam tu'minu, because if the Prophet ﷺ is going to tell them lam tu'minu, but then what does their salah, what does their sawm, what does their zakah, what does their hajj amount to? It amounts to nothing. You might think that the person says lam tu'minu, you don't have iman, that it automatically means you don't have Islam. No. So the word lakin comes. Lakin is what they refer to in Arabic as istidrak. You know, it's to rectify a possible thought that you may have in your mind which is incorrect. So you thinking that if there's no iman, it means there's no Islam. It doesn't work like that. There is no iman, there may be Islam, because Islam is the outward submission and to the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Walakin qulu say aslamna. So if you look at the first part of the statement, lam tu'minu, that lam there, right? It enters upon a verb. It enters upon a verb, right? A present tense verb. And when it enters upon the present tense verb, what does it do? It negates the verb and takes it to the past tense. What I want to point out to you is that when Allah says Qul lam tu'minu, you did not believe. You are not believers. Oh, that would be incorrect now. You did not believe because it's a verb. Now when you start off with a verb, normally Allah, when He starts off with a verb, then He's going to mention a verb again. Are you with me? So if you look now, lam tu'minu walakin, there you have now qulu aslamna. If you look at it for complete congruence, it should have read as lam tu'minu walakin aslamtum. You follow me? Because the Prophet ﷺ is not talking to them and he's saying to them, lam tu'minu, you did not believe. And then walakin, but what happened? Aslamtum. But what do we find in the middle there? Qulu. So if it's qulu, then it should be now walakin qulu lam tu'minu. And then qulu lam ma amanna wa qulu aslamna. You follow? Must I write it out? Better? Okay. And I think I'll use a different point of departure. Allah, which is the verb, and then whatever is being said, it's called the maqula, what has been said. You with me? So now, look at the second one. It says, qulu, say. What must you say? What is the maqula? We can fill it in. It says, aslamna. You follow me? Now if Allah had said at the beginning, say to them, O Muhammad, qulu, what would the maqala be there? As opposed to lam tu'minu, what would be there? In other words, if they must say aslamna, then in the first instance, what must they say? What must they negate? Ma amanna. Isn't it? You follow me? If we look in this, if we go back now, if we look in the second instance, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, qulu, say to them. So just imagine you, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and now you're saying to them, qulu, you say. Let's say, what must we say? Aslamna, we became Muslim. So all of us agree, this is how the Quran ayat is. If Allah had to use the same, this over here, and say, قالت الأعراب آمنا قل قولوا ما آمنا, then in the instance if the Prophet ﷺ is using this format, and then the Prophet ﷺ would be made to tell them, look here, say ma amanna we did not believe, but rather aslamna, we accepted Islam. You with me? You don't have a problem with that, do you? But so how come Allah doesn't put it in this way? You follow? It's a fundamentally different meaning. Yes. If I see some of the students are looking at me like, "Hey, what praat jy?" You sort of understand what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that in the second part, the Prophet ﷺ said to them, "Qulu," you say. What must you say? Aslamna. Do we all agree on that? Because that is right there in the Quran. Walakin, but qulu, you say. What must you say? Aslamna. Now, Allah didn't use that construct in the first part of the verse. But let's just say hypothetically Allah did use it, what meaning would it give us? So now would we go back and we say قَالَتِ الْأَعْرَابُ آمَنَّا, that is how it's in the Quran. Qul, then say Qulu, O Prophet of Allah, you tell them to say what? And what must they say now? Ma amanna, we did not believe. But Allah doesn't use it in that way. Allah says Qul lam tu'minu. You follow me? So here's the subtlety. The subtlety comes in that if the Prophet ﷺ had to say to them, you say ma amanna, and they actually said that, ma amanna, we did not believe, right? We did not believe. Later on, must they actually say amanna? Yes. So when they are made to say ma amanna, it may impress upon them that, look here, we're not going to believe, we're not believers, which is not the point really. The point is that you are prematurely claiming to be believers. So Allah doesn't even want you to say ma amanna, because if you look further on, inevitably in terms of history, they're going to become true believers. So here Allah will not make you say, Allah will make you say aslamna, which is a positive thing, but Allah won't make you say this negative thing, even though technically speaking it's true. Because what impression does it give you? It gives you almost like you're saying ma amanna. Allah is telling you to do something which you're not supposed to actually do, because you're supposed to say amanna and you're not supposed to say ma amanna. And that is why the Prophet ﷺ is almost like Allah cuts it short and says, look here, lam tu'minu, you do not believe currently in terms of your practice, but Allah's not going to make you say it. So He's not going to make you say that negative thing which you are commanded not to say, and Allah knows best. So again, in terms of Quran, the way it's being used, maybe as a rule, and you'll find this that the Mufassirun go along like this. You know, sometimes Allah mentions something in its particular order, and then when He responds to what He mentions three things, and then He responds to the three things. But then what He mentioned last, He responds to first. There's a change in the order. Now, whenever you find it, if you have a basic like background in terms of Arabic, and then you find an anomaly in Quran, like for example a change in the order, you must know that's for a particular reason. Otherwise, Allah, Allah will keep the order there. You follow me? It's a rule to help you dive deeper into the sea, which is called the meanings of Quran. You follow me? If I can give you an extraneous example. This example here, I don't know, maybe it's you just think about it a bit more. If I give you an extraneous example, and this is a very easy one, and this like sort of supports the Shafi madhab, right? You know when you make wudu, right? What does wudu entail? Wudu entails, so let's just leave the intention out for now. But what do? You wash your face, you wash your arms up to including the elbows, right? And then you wipe your hair, and then you wash your feet, right? Now if you look at it, it's all got to do with washing, right? But then what happens is you wash your face, you wash your arms, and then you wipe your hair. Normally, if the Arabs are talking, they're going to list washing separately from what they're going to list wiping. You follow? Because we must be ordered, man. Washing separately and wiping separately. So why does Allah go against the rule, so to say? And He says, wash your face? Because the normal rule would be, wash your face, wash your arms, wash your feet. List number one. List number 2, wipe your head. So now everything is nice now. Wiping separate, washing separate. But now if you look at Quran, we find that Allah goes against this order. So what does He do? He mentions wiping in the middle of mentioning washing. You follow me? So what do we say? The reason why Allah did that is because the sequence in wudu is necessary. Understand? Like the Shafi say. So you must wash your face first, then your hands, then your arms, and then you must wash your face first, then your arms, and then you wipe your head, and then you wash your feet. So you understand that benefit there? Okay. Another example maybe, you're familiar with the verses of fasting. What I'm trying to impress upon you is when you read in Quran, you tell yourself there's a certain logic which things must work with, man. Now if it goes against that logic, particularly the logic of the language, then you must, but why? How come? And then you will come across like meanings in terms of Quran, like we did in the wudu example. Okay? Another example is, Allah talks in the second juz about fasting, right? So Allah is now going to talk about fasting. Now if Allah is talking about fasting, He's going to first talk about fasting, then the topic of fasting is going to come to an end, and then Allah SWT is going to embrace another topic. You with me? What Allah is not going to do is, Allah is not going to talk about fasting, go off on some tangent, and then come back to speaking about fasting when it's unrelated. You follow me? So when Allah breaks an order of speaking about something, then you must ask yourself, this is an anomaly. Why is Allah doing that? So all the ayahs of fasting, Allah, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam. You follow me on that one, right? The next one is Shahr Ramadan alladhi unzila fil Quran. You find on that one, right? And then Allah tells you also, Uhilla lakum laylatas siyam, in Ramadan at night. Can a husband sleep with his wife? Yes, you can. Uhilla lakum, it's permissible. But now between mentioning that, after Allah talks about Ramadan and Allah talks about the Quran being revealed, Allah SWT out of the blue, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. If my slaves ask about me, then say I'm close. Allah talks about dua now. So now what I'm saying is, if you read in Quran, you must now skirk. Hey, what's going on here? Because, and particularly when Allah comes back to talk, like resumes talking about fasting again. Why do you? If we have in a dars now, right? And now something happens, it's not supposed to be something that, a teacher, the phone rings and he picks up the phone and he answers like normal. Not supposed to be like that, isn't it? Right? Allah save us from that. My phone. No, I get, my phone doesn't ring, alhamdulillah. Maar waar is die ding? Somewhere. I like my relationship with my phone. Most of the time I don't know where it is, so it's good also. But now what happens is, alhamdulillah, I don't answer my phone generally in class. If it goes on by mistake, like it rings, I won't answer it, I'll switch off. Now if one day you find me, I'm answering the phone, you must think that, look here, this is not normal, man. Something must happen. So I will tell you also, look, it's my mom, man. Can you say, silent you, whatever the case may be. You follow me? So when something goes different, you already, Quran is the same. So now when you're reading through Quran, what helps you a lot is, if the basic logic that you have in terms of the way the ayat is supposed to run, you find it like that. There's no congruence. That's where the lessons actually come from, because Allah SWT is, and now imagine that you were an Arab. Now imagine how astounded, if you had like a real depth in terms of the language, imagine how astounded you'd be, because when you're speaking like this Arab to an Arab, like I have to point this, we have to point these things out to ourselves. I read the tafsir. But to an Arab it was like, because he's understanding it immediately. And he can see the beauty and the uniqueness in terms of the language, in terms of how it drives home a particular point. Wallahu a'lam. So these are important things when we read Quran. Fadlan. Bismillah.
I think it's in Surah Hujurat. وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. Usually when one tells someone to listen and pay attention,
No.
then listen.
Ajib.
Now, I'm not sure why the sequence is like that. Why first ansitu?
Istami'u.
Or why istami'u and then ansitu?
Ajib.
Shouldn't it be the other way around?
Ajib. So there's a famous verse. Now that it means, mashallah, you guys are thinking, and and that's 100%. That's a beautiful example. I don't know the answer, but just the fact that you mention it is enough for me. But I'm going to research it, inshallah, definitely. So the verse reads, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنِ, when the Quran is being recited, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you, فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا, listen attentively and remain quiet. You follow? So Sayyid is pointing out to us that, look, mustn't you first keep quiet and then listen attentively? That's how it's supposed to be. And quiet and listen. You tell the kids, keep quiet and listen. So not listen and keep quiet. It's quiet and listen. That's the order. That's the proper order. But the Quran says, فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا. It tells you first to listen attentively and then to keep quiet. So definitely, like I'm inclined to agree with you in terms of the order, that the order is the other way around. But what's the sir? What's the secret behind it? Wallahu a'lam. I'll definitely look at it. Ibn Ashur will have an answer for us. And if I don't get it there, you go to Arabul Quran. We'll find it. We'll find the sir behind it, inshallah. But Jazakallah khair. I think that's how we must start. Not I think, but that's definitely how we must start reading Quran. We must be like, you must be wakey, and read and see what's happening, the order, the certain other, so we can gain maximum benefit from the Quran, inshallah. Allah accept. Tamam. So قالت الأعراب آمنا قل لم تؤمنوا. The Bedouins said that we believed. Say to them, O Muhammad, لم تؤمنوا, we have not believed, ولكن but قولوا, say, أسلمنا, that we have entered into Islam. Now, in other words, the apparent that you know. وَلَمَّا, and here now it's another beautiful thing about walamma. Now the word lamma, earlier on in the same verse we came across the word lam, and you explained to me now what lam does. So lam enters upon a present tense verb and negates it, takes it to the past tense, negates it, right? Now lamma, when you add a lam, first let me say this, lamma is the sister of lam, the two sisters, right? Lamma and lam, two sisters, okay? Now lamma also enters upon a present tense verb and also negates it. But what's the difference? So when I ask you what's the difference, right, there can't be no difference, because the rule when it comes to sarf, morphology, is the moment you change the form of the word, there's going to be a resultant change in the meaning. Now, for example, you say fa'ala, and you give it the meaning, he, one male, did, and now I just add a alif to the end and I say fa'ala. Can fa'ala and fa'ala be the same? No, you change the form of the word, now the meaning is going to change. So lam and lamma, the fact that I added an alif to lam to make it lamma and a shadda also, it means the meaning is going to be different. So they're two sisters, but no two sisters are the same. Even if you have twins, they're not the same. Okay? So what's the difference between the two? The difference between the two is, and when we translate, maybe let me leave the translation for the end so we get the understanding. Lam means negation and takes it to the past tense. Lamma is also a negation. But now let me do this. And this will be, and you can see now how significant it is to understand the context of the verses and also understand the verse nicely, right? So we'll just rub this out. I sometimes worry, when the class takes on this format, it becomes a bit boring, man. Yeah, but I would rather do that and add value to the class than Because sometimes we like the showbiz, man. You know, ta 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 tan ta tan tan, you know that all that you see. But you know the actual, because we romanticize sometimes this whole notion of learning. Learning is a, you know, it's like a, you must apply yourself and you want to fall asleep and you want to, you know, but I don't know if you follow what I'm saying. Because, okay, you understand what I'm saying, so it's alright. So where were we now? So we were on lam, negates, and lamma. Okay? Now, for example, I give you a verb. The verb says adhabu. Adhabu. Adhabu means I am going. Everybody agree with me? I am going. Or any other verb you want to say. You can say, okay, I am going. So now when I put the word lam at the beginning, lam adhab, what does it do? You put a sukoon there, negates it and takes it to the past tense. Lam adhab, I didn't go. So what are you doing here? You are negating something. Now when you use lam to negate something, it means you negated going. But that negation, it goes to the past, and what happens is it stretches to the future. You with me? I did not go, and that negation of not going, it didn't come to fore, it didn't happen. You with me? Now when I put the same verb there, lamma adhab, right? What it does, lamma, we said because this was a sister, they're sisters. So when you put lamma onto adhab, what is it going to do? It's going to negate it, isn't it? And it's going to refer to the past tense, isn't it? So what happens is you have the same thing, you have a negation. But you have a negation. The negation with lamma, it goes into the past, but the difference is it doesn't take it into the future. You with me? Now just put the context now. These Bedouins, they came, they made a claim of amanna. Allah says, you do not believe, but rather you are Muslims. You're not mu'mins, you're Muslims. And then what happened? Lamma. So now when we translate lamma yadkhul means to enter. Iman didn't enter your hearts yet. Now you see where yet comes from. Now it would have been easy for me, and I think we sometimes get a different impression when we do this. You break it down like this. This is how it's broken down in the tafsir books. They don't tell you yet, because when I say yet, automatically you understand. But your understanding of yet may not be as profound as this, because it's broken down. Like lam, it negates it in the past and into the future. Like, you know, like I ask you, did you, I'm trying to think of a nice example now. On a Sunday you can only think of kusista examples, man. I was going to ask you, like, did you eat a kusista? Then you say, lam a'akul. Yeah, that's a perfect example. I ask you, hal akalta kusista? Plus, you know, kusista, sisters. Because one visitor came to us now recently, Shaykh Abdul Salam Al-Majidi, and we must make dua, we're trying to bring him again, so because he's a mufassir and so. So what happened was, the one day he had a kusista. So a few days later he had a twisty. So Shaykh Ismail was there. So he asked Shaykh Ismail, but now what is this? So he says, Ibn Ukht, it's the niece of the kusista. You know, so they related. So the kusista example can work here somehow. So I ask you, the one I ask you is, akalta kusista sabahan, did you eat a kusista this morning? Right? You tell me, lam a'kul. Lam a'kul. Akala means to eat, lam a'kul. I did not eat. So your negation of eating is, I didn't eat this morning, and it goes into the future as well. Look, you might eat, but when you tell me lam a'kul, it means I didn't eat, and I got no, what do you call it now? No expectation that you're going to be eating one later on. Okay, but now when I ask you, hal akalta kusista sabahan, and then you tell me, lamma a'kul, what does it mean? I didn't have my kusista yet. Don't worry, I'm still on the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. I'm not a bid'ati. I'm still, everything is still intact. I just didn't have my kusista yet. You follow me? So when you say, I didn't have it yet, you're negating not having a kusista in the past, but Now look at that now. Allah SWT is taking the Arab is taking them to task that you saying amanna, but what did Allah say? Look here, not yet, man. وَلَمَّا يَدْخُلِ الْإِيمَانِ. Iman is going to enter into your heart, but don't give yourself that station because it hasn't entered yet. So even the form of negation, it negates the past or up until the time that the speech is being conducted, but it doesn't say that, it doesn't negate the future like lam does. It doesn't maintain the status quo. So walamma. And then again, like we're saying simply, if you said yet, it will help. But I find sometimes, just looking at the Arabic, it helps us to, because yet, it doesn't explain the negation going backwards and frontwards. You understand that, man? And when it comes, this is what I find also when you become students of, look, my exposure is primarily to Deen, but I'm sure in relation to any other science also, what happens, you actually break things down and you understand it properly. You follow me? Like if I were to ask you before, what does yet mean? Now you can explain what yet means from the Arabic lens, from that perspective. And I think everything else is like that also, because that's what sharh, you break things out. Tafsil, you give what is an explanation? Explanation of something is, tafsil means to compartmentalize things and you put it back together again. That's basically, if you ask the teachers, what is teaching all about? You have a concept and you break down the concept and then you put it back together again, explaining to, that type of thing. Wallahu a'lam. So, here we go. وَلَكِنْ قُولُوا أَسْلَمْنَا وَلَمَّا يَدْخُلِ الْإِيمَانُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. And then again, and this is also something which again for us as students of Quran. So now, the expectancy is you must